Welcome everybody. This is Debbie O'Neill of Scrap Me Quick Designs in the Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group, and I have lesson number 5 for us next in my series of lessons on Design Space 3. Today we're going to be talking about text overview. So you will notice that I am in my Design Space virtual mat, and over here on your left hand side of the screen you'll find the text box, text menu. So we're going to click text. And the first thing you're going to notice is that your text box is going to appear down on the lower left of your screen. So go ahead and enter whatever text you want to enter. And I am just going to type in my name for right now. And then I'm just going to bring it up here and make it larger so you can see it easier. And then the next thing I want to show you is there is a whole new way for you to look at the fonts, which is very exciting. And we're going to go over here, and underneath, this is our new edit menu up here. And this is where, when you have the text selected, you will now see a second row of where all the options are for working with your fonts. So here we have I just typed in Debbie, and I'm going to go under here under fonts, and we're going to click on this in just a second. But I wanted to let you know that Cricut is now the default font that'll automatically come up is now called Cricut Sans. Okay, so that'll be our default font. Anytime you go into text, that's what you're going to get, will be this style font. All right, to change that font, you're going to click the down arrow, and you're going to have some options here. So the first thing you're going to notice is it looks completely different, right? And it popped up really fast for us. So on the left hand side, you'll see in this column will be the name of the font. And then to the right of that will be actually what that font looks like. And it shows you the font in every letter. That's where the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog comes in. And then it shows you if there's any numbers and if there's any special characters. All right. So here we have this, the first one that comes up in the list. I have it selected on all. You can also change it to system font, so it'll show all your system fonts. And you can also change it to Cricut, so it only shows you your Cricut fonts. Okay, so let's go in, and I'm going to change this to, I think I'm going to do Alphalicious. While we're here, let me show you. There is a search fonts box here, so I'm just going to type in, I know which font I want to use, so I'm going to type in AL, and now I can see Alphalicious. Now you're going to notice that underneath the name of the font, you're going to see what writings, we're going to see what style of fonts are available for that font. So Alphalicious has a multi-layer cut, and it has a writing style. If you look up next here, it says all mixed up, and it just says it's a single layer cut. If you look up here to all mixed up, it says multi-layered cut with writing. So it's going to let you know for every font what is the style. Okay, if you look up here, Adelaide is a Cricut font, and it's writing font only. It doesn't have a cut style. It only has a writing style. So now when you want to look for those writing fonts, you'll easily be able to see what that is. So we're going to go back to Alphalicious. I'm going to pick up Alphalicious right here. And you'll notice that it has now changed. My font that I typed in originally, which came up in the Cricut Sans font, is now in the Alphalicious. If you look over to the right, you'll see that it says under style, it says it's the regular style. Now I'm going to duplicate this font because I want to show you guys a couple of things. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, and I'm going to duplicate it a third time. I'll move these up a little bit. Make sure you can see that easy. Okay, so the first one that I have highlighted here is just the regular font style. All right, now if I go to the second font, the second word Debbie that I typed in, I'm going to show you something. Remember when it said that this had a multi-cut? What does that mean? If you look over here in the layers panel and I've highlighted this word here, you'll notice that it's grayed out now. It's like a darker gray. That first letter is that lighter purple that you see, which is our regular cut font. It lets you know that because there's our cut scissors, and then it lets you know what color it's currently selected in, and it lets you know here with that little I that that font is viewed. Okay, now this, when it has a second layer to that, this is a shadow basically. So I'm going to turn that off, and now you're going to see that this word has a shadow layer. So I'm going to ungroup it. So I've got it highlighted. I'm going to ungroup it up here in my layers panel so I can show you. And when you pull it off, there's the top layer, and this darker purple is the background layer. Okay, so now you can tell if a font has a shadow if it says multi-cut, and that's how you would get to it. Now I can come over here. I need to regroup this. I'm going to move this one off to the side. So I can come over here and I'm going to regroup it. And how I'm doing that is I'm grabbing those all together and I'm coming up here to my group and I'm underneath layers panel and I'm grouping it. Okay, I want to make sure I explain everything to you guys. Okay, so now it's grouped. Now you're going to see that it's here all together underneath grouped because I grouped that word, and I could go in and I could change the color. Both of these are going to cut, and I could change the color. Let's say I want to change the background color to blue, just for grins, or I could change it to pink. Okay, so you can change the colors of each of the background layers so that you could get an idea of what that's going to be. Let's say I wanted that top layer, I wanted to see what it would look like in this color. Okay, so you can change that around so you know which is your background layer and which is your top layer. So when people talk about do we have any that have an offset or a background or a shadow? That's the other word people use, a shadow. That's what they're talking about. Does it have a top layer and a shadow layer? Okay, so that is really cool. So this is if it's a multi-cut, that's what you'd be able to do with it. Now let's go in here. I'm going to pick the next duplicate that I did here, and I'm going to come back up here. I'm still on the same font, Alphalicious, and I'm going to come over here to style. And when I do style drop down, look there, it's giving me a writing style. So I'm going to click on writing. And lo and behold, it's come up, and you'll notice over here in the layers panel, see how it's highlighted in gray? That now has the pen next to it. So you know that this font is not going to cut, it's going to write on your project, okay? And so you can also go in, it's going to automatically default it. All your writing will be in using a black pen. You don't have to use a black pen in your machine. You can certainly switch it out for any color, but the coloring here will automatically default to black. Now, I'm going to click on this, and the other thing I want to show you is that now your layer attribute panel pops up, and this is going to let you know Cricut has updated this list, so it'll show you whatever the current color is you have selected for that writing. And then they have added every single current color of the Cricut pens are on here now. So you would be able to go in and find, let's say you wanted a very specific pen that you wanted to use. Let's say you wanted to use the gold metallic. You could change it to that, and then on your screen, it's going to change it to that color. And that's really good if you're trying to decide, well, what color pen do I want to use, and that type of thing. It's kind of cool to be able to do that. It doesn't actually pick that pen for you. You have to still insert it in, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. I'm going to move these off to the side. I'm going to pull this one up because I want to show you something. All right, so here it's all going to write in the exact same pen color. All right, but let's think if you wanted to write, but you wanted to switch out the pen colors. How would you do that? Let's say you wanted your E, every other letter to be a different color. You could come up here to Advanced, click on Advanced, and you're going to ungroup the letters. So I'm going to ungroup the letters. And now I'm able to pick each letter individually. Okay, so there I can pick them individually. So if I wanted to change that E, it's going to come over here in my layers panel and highlight that E for me. I can go in and change this to a completely different color. So let's say I wanted that one to be blue. And let's say I want to pick the B, and it's going to highlight the B over here in the layers panel, and I want to make this one red. Okay, and let's see, we're going to make that E a completely different color, and let's pick, I don't know, let's pick a candy green or the green. We'll do the green apple. Okay. So that's how you would do it. You would need to isolate each letter by ungrouping them in that advanced feature. Now I'm going to highlight this because I want to go back and regroup. I want to group this before I send it to the mat. Now, because I've ungrouped it and I want this to all, when I put it on my project, I want it to all be just like it says here, DEBBIE, I want to also attach it. Okay, so I'm going to click attach down here in the bottom of your layers panel. And now we're going to go to make it. Okay, make it is what used to be called go, and we're going to make it. So I'm going to click on go. Oh, and I made it super big. So let me go back and change that real quick. I'm going to say yes, I want to reduce the size of it. Okay, I'm going to go back. I made this really big so y'all could see it on the screen, and it's pushing it to a different mat, and I didn't want to show y'all that. So I'm going to make this smaller so it'll fit on a regular mat. And I'm going to come over here and say make it again. All right, now we're all on one mat. So you can see here, because I attached it, it shows the letters all in the correct order to spell out my name. Okay, so if you want to see that, that's what you would need to do is if you want your letters to all stay the same. If you don't attach it, it's going to be just a scrambled mix of letters. All right, so I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to say continue. I have to pick my device. It's going to do that. Bear with me for a second while it goes through that process. Because the cool thing I want to show you is that it's going to tell you which pen to pick, okay? So it's going to say, because we have four colors of pens that we're going to use on this project. It's going to pop up here and tell you which color pen to put in the clamp, and then press the flashing go button, which is the Cricut head on your machine. All right. Now, let's say you don't know how to do that. There's actually a button here now that says show me how. When you pick show me how, it actually shows you how to insert the pin in your accessory adapter in your Cricut Explorer. So you use the A side, open the clamp, you put your pin in, it shows you the little drawing here. See how they've got their little fingers, they're holding up that little accessory adapter area. Then you push your pin in until the arrow disappears. This is assuming you're using the Cricut pins. And you close the clamp, and then you push the flashing go button on the machine to cut it. Isn't that awesome? So they've helped us. Some of us have not used the writing feature before, and this is a great help. So I could go through, and then what's going to happen, I'm not going to do this on the video right now, but what's going to happen, I could go in, it'll write the red, then it's going to come back up. I'll just go ahead and do it, I guess. I'm going to let my machine run through that process so you can see. Now it's got this new little circle here, so it lets you know how much longer is it in the drawing mode for that color. Now it's written the B in red, and now it's telling you please put the gold metallic pen into the clamp, and then it will write the two gold letters. Okay, so I think that's really cool. I'm just going to say dismiss. We don't need to see this anymore. And yes, I'm going to cancel the cut. So that's how you use the writing feature when you change your text to writing. I'm going to show you some other things to do with writing when I do another lesson on how to weld and attach letters. Okay. I don't want to give you too much information all at once. I know can be overwhelming. So you can just look for that next lesson. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these so you can see that that's where the style feature is, lets you be able to do that with your letters. So I'm going to go in and click another one, and I'm going to say, I'm going to show y'all when you do a multiple line, what else you can do with your letters. So here we have a multiple line. I'm going to go back in, and I want to change this to the default of the Cricut Sans. So I've typed in the letters up here for Cricut Sans. Here is that font. Now this shows you that it's a single cut, and it also has a writing style. Okay, we have it set on writing. Okay, so I'm going to change it back to regular. So there's the regular. Okay, now you'll notice over here in the layers panel, now it will cut out hello there, my name is Cricut, and it will cut it out because we see the scissors there, and we know that right now it's just defaulted to black. Okay, now let's say you wanted to do this, but you're trying to show it on a different project. You're trying to put it on a card or something, and you want to align it. Okay, you can come over here to alignment, click on that, and if, let's say it defaults automatically to line everything up to the left, but I want to center it. So I'm going to hit center, and it's going to move this so that these are all centered right over and above each other. So my name is the longest line, so it's centered hello there, and it's centered Cricut along those lines. Okay, so you can change alignment depending upon what you're going to do. If I wanted it all to the right, it would do that. So that's alignment. I'm going to go back to center. Okay, so there's center, and we are going to, here is the font size. I forgot to show you that. Font size is right here, so you can go in and change that font size to whatever it is that you would want it to be. Okay, and you can use your up arrows there and your down arrows, or you can type in whatever size you want. Okay, so right now we're just going to stick with this because I have it big enough for y'all to see it on your screen. Okay, so here we have multiple lines, right? So you can do letter spacing is the next thing I wanted to show you. If you do letter spacing is it's going to move the letters over next to each other closer. Okay, so if you click the down arrow, it's going to push the letters over, and you'll see it on the screen. It's kind of moving all the letters closer together. So sometimes you're trying to fit something on a particular piece of paper maybe, and you want the letters pushed over a little bit more closer to each other. That's where you would do it under letter spacing. Okay, and I'm just going to undo that because I want it back the way it was. Okay, now also, every font, just so you know, every font has a different letter spacing. It's however that designer who designed that font has made that font. All right. So that's why sometimes people say, how come this font, the letters are so far apart from each other, but my other font is close together? It's because it's the design of that font. But this is how you can manipulate it. So there's letter spacing. Now, the other thing I want to show you, take a look at, okay, so we have one line here, hello there. We have another line here, my name is, and then we have a third line, which is Cricut. All right. So if you want to change the spacing between these lines, you use line spacing. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to click the down arrow, and it's very slowly you'll see that it starts moving it up closer together. Okay. I'm just clicking it really quick here to show y'all. See how it's now, those lines are now getting closer together. And so you can manipulate it that way as well. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and move these out just a little bit because now they're a little too close. And I'm just doing undo just real quick to show you that. Like if you click the up arrow, that also lets you expand it back. So, okay, so now so that shows you letter spacing and line spacing, okay? And we've already looked at alignment. Now let's look at what's under advanced, okay? So here is our hello there, my name is Cricut. And if you go under advanced, you're going to see some other options, okay? So you're going to see ungroup to letters. So I showed you that earlier where we ungrouped. the letters so that then you could change the letters. So you can do that here if you wanted to. Let's say you wanted, and it'll take a second because it has to kind of reflash itself. Now all the letters are individual. If you click on them, they're individual. Okay, let's say you just wanted the first letter to be different. I would click on that first letter and I could come over here to a font, and let's see, I have it set on sans. So let's say I'm going to pick one of my system fonts because it's right here, and I'm going to change that first letter to a completely different font. You may need to move the font over. If you unlock this, you can do the little unlock. You can use the arrow here to pull this down, and sometimes I'll do that to kind of align the letter so that it more closely matches the other font that I'm using. But see, you can actually isolate each individual letter now and change it to different fonts. That is so helpful to be able to do that right here. Okay. And somehow I managed to undo the O. Okay. So I'm going to pick this now, and I need to group the letters again. So I'm going to group it back. I'm going to undo. Actually, I'm going to undo till we're back to where we were. Okay, so you can change your letters. It's going to take a second. We're going to change our letters, and then so now we're back to what we had before. So that is the ungroup the letters. Okay, now you can also ungroup lines. So this is a feature we didn't have before. You kind of had to type each line in individually as its own text box, but now underneath advanced you can do ungroup lines. And now looky here. Woohoo! Each line is completely separate. I love that because sometimes I decide I want to move something around, or I want to delete this and put something else instead, but I don't want to have to completely retype everything. I would be able to do ungroup lines, and it would allow me to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to undo till I get it back to where we had it before. Okay, so and then there is a third option here, and it's ungroup to layers. So we need to pick a multi-layered font to be able to see that one. So I'm going to go over here and pick, oh, that one has a multi-layered cut. Let me see if I can find something that's a little more fun. Oh, the country font. No, it's not the country font. Sorry about that. Birds on the Parade. Let me pick a font that I know is a multi-cut that is kind of fun. I'm going to go back to my Cricut fonts over here. So see, up here I can change between my system fonts. My Cricut fonts are showing all fonts. So I'm just trying to find one. Animal. Okay, so Animal Antics is a Cricut font, and it has multiple layers. So I'm going to turn all the layers on. And how do I do that? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to unclick each one. Okay, so now I have multiple layers of that font. So you can see this one also has, multiple shadows to this font. All right, so we've got multiple layers. I'm going to come over here to advanced, and I'm going to do ungroup to layers. Okay, now when you ungroup to layers, you can actually move off, keep it all together, but you can manipulate each layer. All right, and this comes in handy depending upon, maybe you don't want a particular layer, or you're trying to maybe change just that color of that layer and you want to see what that's going to look like. So you can switch all of this back, or you can hide a particular layer. Okay, so that's what that third one is underneath the advanced feature. Okay, so we've got several of these uh, features that we've talked about for fonts. And so you should have kind of a good understanding now of how to work with some of the fonts and how you can really utilize. I'm going to just delete all of this, delete it all off of there. Okay, so I'm going to go back into fonts and I'm just going to type in Debbie again. Okay, so this is really slick. So you're able to work with all of your fonts. You can know what the writings, what styles are available for that font. And this should give you a clear understanding of kind of how to work with your fonts. And I will be doing more lessons on uh, attaching your fonts to, if you're going to make tags or invitations or whatever, or I'll be doing a separate one on that. And also on welding your fonts. Okay, so anyway, so that's it for this lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you understand a little bit what's going on. Leave me some comments if you need anything else about this, and come follow us over at the Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group, where we have a lot of fun playing and using our Cricut Explorer. Bye.